Ladies and gentlemen, it's 6 o'clock, and I'd like to call the May 6, 2021 meeting of the Columbia County Planning Commission to order. If you'd stand with us, Commissioner Wilder will lead us in our invocation. Commissioner Futch will lead us in the pledge.
How about with us? Dear Lord, we want to thank you for yet again another beautiful day, another great day in this community. We want to thank you for all the many blessings you bestow upon us in this country of ours. We ask that you look over us tonight, lead us with wisdom, help us to come to a resolution, the best possible fit for everyone concerned. We ask that you look over everyone here at the meeting tonight as they travel home and give them a safe travel back home from this meeting. And all these things in Jesus'
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, one nation. Thank you. Be seated. If I could please remind you to please silence your cell phones. We do have 4 or 5 commissioners present tonight. Commissioner Henderson had to be out of town to attend a funeral. Evidently, the chairman or the president of his company passed away, so he's out of town at a funeral. Gentlemen, you've also had the opportunity to review the minutes from the previous meeting. If there are no changes or amendments, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Approved, carries 4-0. Gentlemen, you've also had a chance to review the agenda for tonight's meeting. If there are no additions or amendments to the agenda, I need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion to approve the agenda as submitted passes 4-0. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to clarify that the Planning Commission is a recommending body to the Columbia County Board of Commissioners. The decisions made on rezoning and variance requests tonight will be forwarded to the Commissioners for final action on May 18th, 2021 at 6 p.m. in these same chambers. If you wish to address the Board of Commissioners at their meeting, please see Ms. Kara Harden, and she can provide you with a request to speak form. We're less formal in this meeting. If you have something that you'd like to add during our public hearing sections of the meeting, please raise your hand. We'll ask you to come up to the microphone and spend 3 to 5 minutes and give your opinion for or against the item that we're discussing. Or if you have something that you'd like to submit to us that's not covered on the agenda tonight, we also have a public comments section at the end of the meeting. Again, if you'd like to give us something that you'd like on the record, we'll call you up, give you 3 to 5 minutes, and let you say your piece, and then hopefully we'll all head home and see what's next. That being said, let's move on to our first item of unfinished business, file RZ 210306. Ms. Mystery.
Thank you, sir. This is a plan revision for 4502 Guilford Court on 0.4 acres, and the current zoning is PUD. And the request is a revision for reducing setbacks. This has been postponed twice before, and it's for this meeting. I'll run through the location. It's in Stratford Phase 1. Here is the zoning map showing the blue, which is the PUD zoning. Here's the aerial of the lot in question, 4502. You can see that there is actually a 10-foot HOA strip on here for Ellsbury Drive. Here is the plat of the lot and a subdivision plat, which is the end. This aerial shows the utilities. The green line is a sewer line, which has a 20-foot easement over it. And the original proposal by the applicant was a detached building. The building permit mentioned that it was 44 feet by 26 feet. That was not to scale. And the item was postponed to get a survey done of the property. So this is the survey. It shows the property line here, Ellsbury Drive. It shows the existing fence, which is here, which is on the HOA strip. This is where the addition will be. And on this sketch, the applicant had put 5 to 10 feet encroachment into the setback. Here are the photographs of the site where you can see the fence off Ellsbury Drive and the backyard, and you've seen the green flags on this line. which is for the sewer line. And the fence on view of Ellsbury Drive. So once the applicant measured that out, he was proposing to reduce the building a little bit from the original size. There was some question about what to do with the fence, and the HOA has asked for a letter asking for liability waiver since it's on their property. The latest information we've got for you since the last meeting is that the applicant wanted to ask for a 10-foot setback reduction. And the HOA has given us a letter today that states that they would like him to move the fence back on his property line. So the report says request table because we hadn't got that information.
Okay, gentlemen, do you have any questions, staff? This is, we're resuming a public hearing from the previous two meetings. Is the applicant here? Please come up and give us some clarification as to why something that looks so simple has taken so long to take care of?
Yes, sir. I'm not 100% sure why the HOA is postponed my request. Originally, I had submitted this request back in 2020, requesting to have a detached building built, and it was approved by the HOA. So after we went through the process, going through the process, getting permits and submitted, that's when I learned that it's potentially would need a variance. So then I coordinated with Ms. office, and they came out and assured that I do need a variance. So I submitted all the paperwork as requested that I was required to submit to Ms. Staff.
They say in the letter here you haven't submitted the architectural plans that they've requested.
Okay.
So we started this on what, March 18th?
Okay, sir, can I, on that particular note, the architectural plan that is listed in that email came out literally an hour ago. Literally an hour ago. Originally.
You had no idea they wanted architectural plans before?
Correct. I had submitted plans to them to have this building built like over a year ago. Okay? That email just came out today. Literally, I think, I look at time, I just read it just now, I was sitting down.
Okay.
And so they asked for architectural plans. Last time,
The county,
no, sir, this is the.
the HOA,
HOA. So if I understand all this, if this gentleman moves the fence onto his property, this becomes an HOA situation, or is he still gonna need a variance from us? If it's an attached,
He'll still need the setback variance.
because it won't meet
You'll
the
actually
setback.
still need a variance technically for the fence, because at that height, the fence should also be meeting the building setback. So even with the fence on his property line, he still needs a variance for the fence as well as the addition to the house that he's proposing.
Ask a question. Why would we need a variance for the fence?
So when a fence is between a house and the road, it has a height limit of, in this case, it would be 4 feet as a side property line. With the house facing Guilford, it would be 3 feet in front of the house, 4 feet behind the house on the secondary road frontage. So since the fence is taller than that, it should technically meet this minimum building line, which would put it basically back where the house is.
And the reason, I was want to make sure, because Stratford requires a 6-foot privacy fence. You have 2 options, either open picket or closed shadow box. So when I originally, I built this fence over 5 years ago. I had the 2 of the architects members come out to my house. First guy, he came out, he looked at it. Unfortunately, he passed away. I go ahead and gave him while I'm building it. Unfortunately, he passed away in between. Second guy came out and told me where it was, where to build it. The property on where Stratford is located, you look at, bring the other picture up from the top area view, there's a split rail fence. You look at, go back just there. So there's a split rail fence that was in place.
you can
You
draw
can
on
draw
that
Oh,
if you want
that's
to.
great. Okay, so the split rail fence that used to be right here, going all the way, and it goes all the way down originally, okay? So what I did, when they came out, they said I can put my fence where the other split rail fence was. So, and I thought it was, well, until I found out last month, that was not okay. But if you look down Osbury Court, Osbury Drive, all the other houses going all the way down, their fence is down in the same location. So
On the HOA land?
about the same, or if, on the, some are, if you go out and look at it, if you actually go look at it on the street, some are like on the line, some are in, some are out. And this was brought to my attention by actual board members when I was going to, not trying to get this, I got originally requested built over back in April when they had a different committee. Okay, so as of last meeting on April 15th, 14th, I think it was, at the last meeting, they sent an email 5.5 hours before this meeting requiring me to have a letter, a waiver their words was, in order for me to have a waiver or to move forward, they would require a waiver for me to move forward with building, not for me to get permits or for me to get a variance. The variance is based on the location of the property line.
Yeah, the waiver, they just want you to waive them of any liability if something happens to somebody on that property.
Yes, sir, and I agree with you 100%. So in that case, in learning that, I asked the board members, I sent several emails, and I asked them, there are several people on that street, in that same exact community, that had their fence either on the HOA property line, some on, some off. Like, it just depends on how you look at the road.
But let's don't be a neighborhood crusader. Let's focus
sir.
on your piece of property.
But my question was, for the board, why now, 5 years later, am I being required to have a letter, a waiver letter? I have no problem with doing the letter.
I don't care about that. I care about your piece of property. So you gonna sign the waiver or not?
They did not give me a letter.
Okay.
They didn't give, they say I need to have they said they want, before I can build, not before I can get a variance.
They want you to get with your attorney and provide them a letter waiving them of any liability for anything that happens on that common property where the fence is.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
I've gotten confused with this whole issue. What he's talking about with his HOA is not relative to us mostly, because that's between him and them. What we're dealing with is, didn't you say that if it was a attached piece, it had to be 15-foot setback?
And that is also part of the HOA requirements. So the letter we received from the HOA representative earlier today specified that if the garage is attached to the house, as it's shown on the survey, their covenants require that it be at least 15 feet from the property line, not 10, as has been requested by the applicant. They also did say that as a means of kind of simplifying this process and avoiding holding it up any further, the HOA may just require Mr. Carter to remove the fence off of their property as the other option.
And we're getting right back to the same thing. Most of the questions in mind are between you and the HOA, not between this board.
Yes, sir.
So until all that gets straightened out, I don't even see the purpose of us listening to it. We can't do anything, we know what we're dealing with.
Before we can move forward, we need to have some resolution from the HOA and the property owner.
I mean, I think you do. You have the beginnings of it. You have, here's where he can put his building if he does this.
Or do we vote
do
on it and let
that.
it get kicked upstairs and let the commissioners
That's the
decide
other
on
side
it?
of it. You could say, we'll go ahead and set it up knowing these things. You got, a week and a half or whatever to figure out the rest of it.
Sir, honestly, if I were you, what I would do is I would ask to withdraw without prejudice, so you can come back at any time in the future, once you have everything settled, so we're not kicking it down the road 2 weeks and we're in the same position. But if you can come in with somebody from the HOA, have the waivers, have everything buttoned up that staff says we need, we can move forward and then throw a recommendation up. I don't want to slow you down anymore, but I don't want to table something again.
Yes, sir, I understand.
So if you would just ask us on the record here, if you could withdraw without prejudice, because if you just withdraw with prejudice, you can't come back for 6 months. Withdrawing without prejudice, you can come back and apply at any time to come back and get on the agenda. Have I spoken out of turn? Am I correct? Okay. So,
At this point,
1 second, please. Go ahead, sir.
at this point, there's nothing for us to accept or deny, until all these issues get straightened out.
Okay.
Well, it's definitely cleaner if we have all the answers to all the questions, and right now, And again, part of the challenge has been that we've been getting emails, you know, at the day of the meetings as they've come along, with, you know, maybe just a little bit different information. Certainly, getting full resolution of all of the issues with the HOA would be helpful in
Okay.
providing staff recommendation and obviously giving you clearer direction on, you know, what your options really should be.
Could I get you to ask on the record? If you want to do that, now, we can go forward.
I do just have a question as far as, so as we move forward, you mentioned this. You mentioned that need to have waiver or approval from the HOA. The HOA takes, prolong their responding back in the future, which could prolong it once I get other parts information. Would that affect my request then as well again?
What will happen if you go with the method Mr. Cox is saying, is it's gonna give you the time you need
What I would
for
do,
y'all to get everything hammered out if they're slow and they're not attending to you?
you have an attorney, sir?
Yes, sir, I do.
I would go ahead and get the waiver put together, submit it to them, and tell them when you want it signed and back in your hands. If you're planning on moving forward, give them a date and go from there. And then if they drag their feet, then you've got some basis to pursue whatever you need to pursue from there. Now, I'm not an attorney, but if it were me, that's what I'd do. Okay? So, gentlemen, any other questions? Could I get you to ask on the record if you would like to change this request to withdraw without prejudice?
Yes, sir, are you able to withdraw without prejudice, sir?
Okay, thank you, sir. And we do have, this is a public hearing, we've got somebody asking to speak, so if I can ask you to yield the dais, let this young lady come forward and tell us what's on her mind. Please give us your name and home address. Would you wait till you get to the microphone, please?
My name is Ardell Molnar. I live at 4582 Aylesbury Court. I'm the architectural chair for the Stratford HOA Board.
Okay.
And a lot of what Mr. Carter said was incorrect. So I don't know if you want me to just correct his incorrect statement.
Tell us what you have, but address
I became a
us.
board member January 1st and became architectural chair at that time. In looking at our records, his first request, he had a shed in the back corner when he purchased the property. And in looking at the records in 2017, he requested to have a package shed delivered, which he would construct on his property. He got approval for that. Then I think it was in 2019, he requested to pour a slab and stick build a shed in the same location, stating it would be a little bit larger than the original shed. And that got approved. And then all of a sudden, there were signs for the commissioner's hearing, the variance, et cetera. And I met with Ms. Mystery at his residence, and at that point in time, that's the first the board learned that he wanted to do a 44 by 26 or something attached. And I asked Mr. Carter, I said, wait a minute, are you building a double wide, double deep garage, or are you building a shed? And he looked me in the eye and said he was building a shed. Well, that's not a shed in my mind. So then there was the problem with the fence being on the property. We were unaware of that. The gentleman who may have been architectural chair when he requested the fence did pass away tragically and suddenly. We have no record of the fence being approved. Our covenants are that you can put up a fence, but it either has to be aluminum or a privacy fence or with a shadow box privacy fence. We have made exceptions and done shorter fences, but you know, there's no record of him requesting something about putting up the fence. Concerning the split rail, a split rail was put in by the builder, the developer, so it was HOA fence on HOA property, and it is 2 feet from the residence property line on the HOA property. There's just like a 2 feet difference. At some point I've been a resident since 2000, and I don't remember what year, but the split rail became in disrepair, and the HOA decided to remove the split rail. There were a lot of people who requested that it be left there. And so it was with the understanding that it was split rail fence on HOA property, and it provided a visual barrier. It does not provide an access barrier. And the residents were told that if they were responsible for repair, if they so choose, but there are only 2 residents now that have split rail, and if it falls into disrepair, then the HOA is willing to go ahead and remove it. All of the other residents who have requested privacy fences, their fences are within their property line. None of the privacy fences are on HOA property. So it's like his issue with other people differently is all. Okay. With the, I learned of his switch from, he hasn't been really in communication with us. It's like we have not seen, other than the email that he wants to do a little larger shed in 2020, we've had no plans. Till then we find out that he wants this variance, and I went over, and that's when we found out about the bigger structure. He hadn't submitted plans with the bigger structure. We had his house with a little box and no dimensions. So,
Hey, can I ask you to do one thing?
sure.
Can you all exchange telephone numbers, email addresses, so both of you know how to communicate with one another, so we don't run into this, that
That's
nobody
okay.
knows how to communicate with anybody?
That's no problem.
I'd be glad to give you a pad and a piece of paper if you'll do that. And sir, if you do the same thing with her.
So the other issue is that he hasn't submitted, did not inform us that he wanted to do an attached garage until I went over and they were doing the survey. That's how I found out. So it's like, I did not know that there was this meeting tonight until about 4 o'clock today. That's why my response to Mystery and Mr. Carter was today, just before the meeting, because that's when I got the email, saw the
Well,
email.
if you would go ahead and y'all exchange numbers, and again, you know how to get a hold of staff, so you can stay up with them, and then we'll let you all settle things, and then Mr. Carter can let staff know when he'd like to come back, once you all resolve all your issues.
So on the 15th, we did tell him that because he has a privacy fence, we don't have access to the yard. We don't know what's going to go on in the yard. We asked for the liability waiver in order to move forward with anything. And Mr. Carter, so we decided to give him a choice. You either do the liability waiver or you move the fence. We haven't really heard he has some emails, he had questions and concerns, but we did not know what he was choosing to do until, still don't know what he's choosing to do. So we did take a vote today, and we did decide to require him to move the fence to within his property. So that eliminates the trespass, and that eliminates the need for the liability waiver. It puts him in control, puts the fence on his property, and proceed.
All right. Well, if you would hand me my pad and pen back so I can take some notes. All right. If you'd give that to him. Yes, ma'am. I don't need it.
Want the pad.
I just want the pad. Thank you, ma'am.
The thing about that pad.
I appreciate it. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak either for or against this particular rezoning issue?
Have any questions?
No, ma'am, we don't. Yes, sir. Wait, would you wait till you get,
Oh, yes, sir. I have Ms. Warner's phone number now. I didn't have it before. I had her email address. Parts of what she said kind of surprised me.
okay.
But like I said, she just took over this January.
And I don't want to get in the back and forth here. If you all can just meet outside of this meeting,
Yes, sir.
discuss the issues, take care of it. It'll be easy for staff. It'll be easier on you.
Understood.
All right? Thank you, sir. All right. There's no one else who'd like to speak for or against. I'm going to close the public hearing and accept a motion to approve, deny, or to withdraw without prejudice.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to withdraw without prejudice for file RZ 210306, Major Bud.
Motion's been made to allow the applicant to withdraw without prejudice. Live to fight another day. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Motion to allow to withdraw without prejudice passes 4-0. Ms. Neal, we have 3 temporary use authorizations.
Yes, sir. The first one is a temporary use authorization request for 6320 Keg Creek Drive on 1 acre. It's currently zoned R4 recreational residential. Shows the location of the site just outside of, off the lake, Keg Creek. The R4 zoning, completely surrounded by R4 zoning. This shows the location that they're requesting to put a 36-foot travel trailer to use as their secondary residence on the weekends and occasionally throughout the week during the construction of their permanent home. And staff recommends approval.
Gentlemen, any questions of staff? Not a public hearing, so I'll need a motion to approve, deny, or to table.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the temporary use authorization for 6320 Cade Creek Drive.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion to approve carries 4-0. Ms. Neal, number 2.
Okay, this is a temporary use authorization request for 6941 Cottonwood Drive on 6.05 acres, currently zoned RA, residential agricultural. This shows the location of the site off Cottonwood Drive. The zoning, completely surrounded by RA zoning. And this shows the site plan. They do own both of these properties, and their access is right here into the property that's in question. They're requesting to put a 37-foot travel trailer on the lot during construction of their permanent home. And staff recommends approval.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, could I ask you to remove your hat, please? Thank you. Gentlemen, any questions of staff? This is not a public hearing, so I'll need a motion to approve, deny, or to table.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the temporary use authorization for 6941 Cottonwood Drive.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Motion to approve carries 4-0. Ms. Neal, number 3.
This is a temporary use authorization request for 7478 Lakeside Drive on .73 acres, currently zoned R4 recreational residential. Shows the location of the site. The R4 zoning, completely surrounded by R4 zoning. And this shows the site plan. So they have purchased 7478, 7476, and 7436. And they're planning to have all the lots combined. They're in the process of doing so. However, they do not currently have the combined plat. So therefore, they're requesting the temporary use authorization for 7478, which is right here, during the construction of their permanent home here. And they will have to meet the setbacks for 7478 since they do not have them combined at this time. And this shows the location that they plan to put the camper during their construction of their home. Staff recommends approval.
Gentlemen, any questions of staff? This is not a public hearing, so I'll need a motion to approve, deny, or to table.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the temporary use authorization for 7478 Lakeside Drive.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion to approve carries 4-0. Ms. Neal, we've got an information only. The MW 210501.
Yes, sir. This was a minor river request sent in to staff at 106 Shaw Street for 0.25 acres, currently zoned C2 General Commercial. This shows the location of the site off Martinez Boulevard and Shaw Street. This shows the zoning of the site and the aerial. And this just shows where they were requesting a reduction in the front setback here. They were approved for a 53 feet from the center line of Shaw Street on April 19th.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, we've got a provisional home occupation for Gerard Properties. Ms. Neal?
So this is a request for a provisional home occupation located at 1781 Lonergan Hume Road on 4.33 acres, currently zoned RA, residential agricultural. This shows the location of the site off Lonergan Hume, just north of Nature's Way and I-20. This shows the aerial of the site. And this is the location where they're planning to utilize an 8x10 room within the existing barn for storage, a small replacement parts, a couple of AC units, and a few cans of paint that they use for their lease units. They lease out units that they will need to repair and maintain. All other repairs and maintenance are done on the site of the rental properties, and all the storage for all the other materials will be taken directly to each location. And they're going to be doing office operations less than 20% within the home. All communication is done via internet, email, so there will be no tenants or deliveries to the residents, and staff recommends approval.
All right. Gentlemen, any questions of staff? Not a public hearing, so I'll need a motion to approve, deny, or to table.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve provisional home occupation for R. Gerard Properties.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion to approve carries 4-0. Thank you, Ms. Neal. Ms. Montgomery, we have a couple for you tonight. Final plat for Jackson Heights Phase 1.
Yes, sir, this is the final plat for Phase 1 of Jackson Heights, located off Old Bel Air Lane, currently zoned PRD, which is our planned residential development. This is the location of the site. Phase 1 is kind of the north half of this property. And it does include 95 single-family residential lots on 39.86 acres. The minimum lot size is 7,150 square feet. It includes 36 alley-loaded lots. This would be the alley. They have setbacks 10 feet from the front and rear property lines. All the other non-alley loaded lots have a minimum setback of 25 feet from the right-of-way and 10 feet from the rear property line. Side setbacks are a minimum of 7.5 feet throughout the development. 50-foot buffers are provided against Lake Royal to the north, Sugar Creek to the west, and against I-20 to the south, and a 15-foot buffer is provided against the Birchfield subdivision to the east. Sidewalks are provided on both sides of the road, and 9.61 acres of open space is provided in this section. And this is the existing site, showing the on-street parking around some of the park area. And staff is recommending approval.
Gentlemen, any questions of staff? This is not a public hearing, so I'll need a motion to approve, deny, or to table.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the final plat for Jackson Heights Phase 1.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Approve carries 4-0. Ms. Montgomery, final plat for Crawford Creek 8B.
Yes, sir, this is the final plat for Phase 8B of Crawford Creek off William Smith Boulevard, currently zoned planned unit development. This is the location of this section off North Old Bel Air Road. And this section includes 84 single-family residential lots on 34.72 acres. Minimum lot size is 5,433 square feet with an average lot size of 8,295 square feet. Setbacks are a minimum of 18 feet from the right-of-way and 10 feet from the side and rear property lines. Sidewalks are provided on both sides of the road, and 14.61 acres of open space is provided in this section. And this is the photo of the existing site. And staff is recommending approval.
Gentlemen, any questions of staff? This is not a public hearing, so I'll need a motion to approve, deny, or to table.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve final plat for Crawford Creek Phase 8B.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Motion to approve carries 4-0. Mr. Butler, we're going to let you have a little time tonight. Final plat for Swint Farm Estates.
Well, thank you, appreciate that. This is a final plat for Swint Farms Estates off Swint Road, 29.56 acres, currently zoned RA. It's for 11 lots. This is the location of the property on the north side of Swint Road, Captain Harlan Road as well. Again, zoning the property, you have most everything around there is RA, then you have the M1 strip along I-20, still in existence for some of those properties. Area of the property itself. In the plat of the property, you have a total of 11 lots. They all meet lot and structure requirements for residential agricultural, all 2.5 acres or more. There is actually a condition with this, we'll see here in a second. The condition is that residential driveways must be at site distance for a 45-mile roadway. That was found during review. It's one that we'll handle that at site plan for each one of the individual lots. Again, staff would recommend approval with condition of the plat.
What's the site distance for 45s? 300?
I have no
350?
idea. I'm not a traffic engineer, so can't tell you. I don't even look like
Mark
one.
it down.
I
Will
don't
that
even
have
look
an
like
answer?
He doesn't even pretend to be.
I don't even pretend to be a traffic engineer.
All right, gentlemen, any questions of staff?
Hadn't this piece of property come before us before, just
It
recently?
did.
We owned it from M.
Couple months ago.
All right, any questions, other questions? All right, seeing none, this is not a public hearing, gentlemen, so I'll need a motion to approve, deny, or to table.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve with condition the individual plat for Swint Farm Estates located off Swint Road and Old Appling Harlem Highway.
Do I hear a second?
So with condition.
He made it with conditions.
Second.
And if the conditions aren't met, they'll probably, revise, instead of having individual driveways, have shared
They'll probably
driveways?
have
or-
shared. Again, just looking at it, it's one that they're like, we could go ahead and say they have to do this, but they said, we'll handle it at each lot.
Okay.
Sort it out.
And if we do shared driveways, will we have to see them again, or is that something y'all could
No,
administratively
They'll be handled
approve?
at site plan.
Okay, got it. All right, gentlemen, all in favor? Motion to approve carries 4-0. Mr. Butler, Abba's Therapeutic Massage.
This is a massage operator's license at 3685 Riverwatch Parkway, and it's also located there and also offers mobile massage services. They met the requirements of the license, and staff recommends approval.
Okay, gentlemen, any questions? This is not a public hearing, so I need a motion to approve, deny, or to table.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the massage operator's license for Abba's Therapeutic Massage located at 3685 Riverwatch Parkway and mobile massage services.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion to approve carries 4-0. Mr. Butler, first and only public hearing tonight, file RZ 210501, change of conditions.
I think this is a request for a change of conditions and a very small revision to the S1 at 2179 William Few Parkway. Existing use is a kennel, which is under construction, and also residential use on the property. This is the location of the property on the east side of William Few Parkway, just south of its intersection with Columbia Road. And is zoned the property, again, currently zoned S1. Then you have S1 to the north and to the west, and then P1 to the south, along with plenty of development to the, well, this is aerial view of the site. Again, this is currently under development. This aerial hasn't been updated since that point. This is the existing site. This is the kennel here. Again, it is almost finished. It may actually be finished by now, but it's almost finished in this picture. And this is the residence that is in question. So part of the issue, this was rezoned back in 2017. Let's kind of give you some backstory on it. There's a condition proposed by the Board of Commissioners that required that after 60 days, or once that the kennel received its CO, Certificate of Occupancy, the residential use over here would have to cease after 60 days. The applicant has, or the owner and applicant has let us know that they'll like that condition to be removed. They currently have a sheriff's deputy who lives in there, provides security for the site, is also a good deterrent just to have someone there anyway. During the review of that back in 2017, staff had no issue with having a residence on the property. The only real concern is that this is supposed to be turned into an office in the future. So there may be, that's more of a FYI of in the future, you're probably gonna have to do some upgrades to the building if you are going to change it to an office. And if you do keep it as a residence and office, that's gonna be very difficult to do. So again, no issues with staff at that point, no issues from Planning Commission at that point. BOC was one that added the condition. Staff really has no concerns, again, with the request. This, you can see from the picture here, you can barely even tell there's a residence back there. It's well screened. Again, it provides security for the site. It's one that it makes a lot of sense for the area. So staff is recommending approval of that portion of it. I'll get to the rest of it here in a moment. There is a condition with it that does basically keep all the other conditions from that original request in place. So we go ahead to the plat real quick, just to kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at. So again, here's a plat here as well. And then here is the development plan next up, and this is the existing house you can see here. And then you have the future land use. So the other request is to change the hours of operation. Their narrative was very specific with the hours of operation. It was, I believe, 8 to 5. They like to change that to 7 to 7. That would be for the kennel and other uses on the site. They did note, as in their original narrative, there could be people there, after hours. There's an emergency at the kennel, or if they do have a vet on site, there could be someone there during those times. But again, the normal operating hours would be 7 to 7. In terms of future land use, again, as before, it still meets the area. No real concerns with the request from that standpoint. So again, staff recommends approval of condition. Again, keeping all conditions except for the condition 3 from the Board of Commissioners shall still apply. That includes staff recommendation.
Gentlemen, any questions, staff? There were no change in conditions, because I remember originally, didn't they want to be able to cremate horses and cows and all kinds of
There
good stuff
was,
there?
they,
And I think we limited them to companion animals only.
yeah, there was, yeah, it was.
So there's
it
no
was
change in
dogs.
condition there?
No, it's only condition 3 that is getting revised from the Board of Commissioners.
Okay. Correct. Is the applicant here? Yes, ma'am. Would you like to come forward and give us any additional information? Please give us your name and home phone number.
My name is Bonnie Lord. My number is 706. So my hours of operation, 8 to 5, I'm running a kennel. Start at work at 8 or 9. They work at 9, they don't get out till 6. I would like an hour before and after. I don't want my business open, but I want to be open for drop-offs. While I'm cleaning, if they need to drop off, they're going to pick up, and I can have them ready for them.
Questions? All right, thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else here that'd like to speak either for or against this particular rezoning? Yes, sir. Please come forward and give us your name and home address.
Yeah, it's Michael Van Dingsty.
Would you spell your last name?
Very, it's spelled V-A-N, capital D-I-N-G-S-T, 706-305-8450. I think Mr. Butler's already said that you guys are okay with me staying there. I've been there for 6.5 years or so. I've gone through 3 property owners, but for myself personally, I really like being there, even though there's building and everything going on. I put a tremendous amount of work into that to make it livable. I originally moved there when it belonged to the Merchants. Thought it was going to be there a lot longer, but sold the property 14 months after I moved in, after I put a lot of my own sweat and blood and my own money. Everybody that's bought the property has wanted me there, maybe for obvious reasons. I'm a good tenant. I take good care of the property. But the fact of the matter is, I'm a deputy here in Columbia County. We don't make a lot of money. And it would be a tremendous burden if I had to move. You guys know what property values and rents are around this county. So my wife has medical issues.
Gentlemen, any questions from the deputy?
We hadn't had any complaints as far as everybody knows.
No, I would think quite the opposite. I still keep an eye on the fairgrounds, though really associated with them necessarily, but.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your
Thank
service
you.
to the county.
Appreciate it.
Ms. Garnowitz, you're the only member of the public left. I'm surprised there's an open microphone and you haven't approached it. No, you don't have to if you don't want to.
I'm the one that started this hornet's nest. Because he called me and said, I need help.
No worries.
And that's how this gets started.
All
And I
right.
appreciate it. I'm sorry to cause all. I live at 4210 Long Cove Drive. It needed to get handled. We had to get to the bottom of it. I didn't know anything about it when it happened, but everybody has been very kind to help. And I think it got resolved, so thanks. I thank
you, ma'am.
everybody. I thank the Board of Commissioners.
We appreciate you.
So, thanks.
For the record, Ms. Garnowitz is the one that started this. Put in there.
Y'all need her to spell her last name? Seeing there's no other public to comment, gentlemen, I'll close the public hearing and accept a motion to approve, deny, or to table.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for RZ 210501 to be approved,
Do I hear a second?
What was it, what condition?
with the condition.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Motion to approve carries 4-0. We have no legal matters. Do we have any staff or commissioner comments? Do we have any public comments? The hour of adjournment is upon us. Gentlemen, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion to adjourn carries 4-0 at 6:44 PM. Next meeting is May 20th, 21 in these chambers. Thank you for coming out.